All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another TV Party Tonight extra boxing commentary. Tonight we have Deontay Wilder, the WBC heavyweight champion, versus arch rival of sorts, Dominic Breazeale. And joining me tonight, he's drunk as a skunk, and he got the funk. Ladies and gentlemen, boxing expert extraordinaire, Mr. Toxic Masculinity, good to his mother, Pat Mullin. How do you do, sir?
It's not my name.
What's your name, sir?
I changed it to Turd Ferguson. It's a funny name.
How much have you had to drink tonight, sir?
A lot of Coors Banquet.
Why Coors Banquet? Just out of curiosity.
Has anyone been watching Cobra Kai?
Ah, okay. That's what that. Those. Oh, I figured it wasn't like whatever the Jamaican one is, but that's what. But that small bottle. That's what it reminded me of. That's what it looked like.
Red Stripe.
That's the one.
Yeah, Red Stripe's good stuff too.
I've had a Red Stripe or two in my time.
Hey, so earlier on the undercard tonight, we had Gary Russell Jr. literally dressed his entourage as spear chuckers. And now we've got Deontay Wilder with guys in gas masks who look emaciated, making fun of the Holocaust. Mark, how do you feel about that?
I prefer to look at him as more Ming the Merciless. This is kind of the Undertaker during his devil worshipping phase, when he was the cult leader. That's kind of what this reminds me of.
I think he looks like Chris Bosh.
You know, the more I think about it, the more I enjoy the Deontay Wilder fights because they're awful, and I like awful things. But the more I think about it, the more I'm with you that this guy is a fraud until he fights Anthony Joshua. If after the Anthony Joshua fight on June 1st, these two don't lock horns, I don't know. I might have to start tweeting Deontay Wilder, quit running, bitch.
Yeah, his name is Beyonce Wilder.
Beyonce Wilder, okay.
And I'd like to thank Shannon the Cannon Briggs for coining that one.
So let's talk turkey as best we can. I know that given given the fight and your current state of mind, you know, it's kind of a But let's see.
I honestly don't know what you mean by my current state of mind, but that's fine.
Let's see what we can do as far as analysis. How do you like your Dominic Breazeale? Sunny side up. What do you think going into this fight?
So I've seen very limited Dominic Breazeale. Mainly the one fight I can tell you I did see him in was against Anthony Joshua, and he was stopped in the 7th round of that fight. And he has gone on to say he doesn't feel he fought his best fight in that one, which I wouldn't disagree with. I saw him fight Amir Mansour, who was this knockout artist, and he beat him up fairly well. But he doesn't have a lot of names on his record there that ones would recognize. You know, decision over Nagy Aguilera, who's a journeyman, knockout over Billy Zumbrun, who I think some people have seen fight on FS1 cards. But there's nobody else on there that would really give you an indication of his real talent level. 18 knockouts and 20 wins. Joshua stands as his only defeat. As an amateur, he went to the London Olympic Games, but didn't medal. He got beaten in the first round. We'll see. His plan tonight, according to what he said to his Showtime interviewers, was that he feels that he needs to back Wilder up and work the body a lot. I don't know that that's the right move, but we'll see.
Well, Deontay Wilder, one thing positive you can say about him is he's got some pretty crazy reach. He didn't really use that to his advantage in the Tyson Fury fight, but then again, you know, as you put it at the time, Tyson Fury is such a herky-jerky, unpredictable style. I don't know how much better use he could have made of his reach. Going into this one, do you see that being a factor?
Sure, because if you don't want to get hit with his best shot, you either have to be outside of his reach or inside that reach just enough where he can't club you with his right hand, which is really his weapon. of choice. For Breazeale, though, I think if he really wants to have success, because he claimed he saw that during the Fury fight, what he needs to do is he needs to get Wilder to throw that right hand, and as soon as Wilder sets, just move away from him. And then pop him and move, because Wilder can't deal with that. Wilder doesn't know what to do if you don't stand still for him to throw his right hand.
What do you make of Wilder when he does that clubbing that he does, where he doesn't necessarily throw a punch? He does like almost like a palm strike.
Yeah, it's technically illegal to do that, so he's gotten away with it.
They
don't want to say anything.
He does it a lot. Like I was watching some of the highlights, and I understand maybe to the untrained eye, to the average viewer, these just look like he's killing guys. He's just knocking bitches out left and right. Boom, boom, boom. He's dropping bombs. But I watched it closely, and I'm like, yeah, you're not punching. You're clubbing with the palm of your fist, palm of your hand.
Right, where there is no padding on the glove.
Mm-hmm. So, essentially, this is another Canelo situation where they're just letting him get away with murder because Showtime is pretty much trying to continue to build their boxing off of him.
Because for some reason, they think that having an American heavyweight champion is better than having not an American heavyweight champion. But let's just go this route. Has he gotten more mainstream media coverage than Lennox Lewis did?
I don't know. Has he?
No, he hasn't. Occasionally, he'll pop up on a blip on Showtime, or excuse me, not Showtime, CBS, who is the parent network of Showtime. Very rarely do you see him pop up on ESPN, which Lennox Lewis was on routinely. I think Lennox Lewis is a more well-known household name. Even America, so.
Well, I think the idea is, for years now, they've been searching for that next Mike Tyson, that next crossover heavyweight boxing star. And they think they've got it in this guy. I mean, he certainly has some pizzazz, as Jim Norton would say.
You ever listen to Mike Tyson speak? You know what the obvious part of his voice is. Right. He has that odd-pitched tenor to his voice, that this bruising, mountain of muscle of a man way back has this high-pitched, sensitive voice. You ever listen to Deontay Wilder talk?
Deontay Wilder talks like he was part of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Tyson could actually be articulate and use big words correctly. Deontay Wilder gets mushmouth status if he has to use a word.
Yeah, look, 3-syllable words are not his friend.
We just
2-syllable words are barely his friend.
That, of course, is the dulcet tones of the Howard Lederman of this three-man booth, and not just because
Mark,
and not just because he's dead inside. Get it? Because Howard Lederman just died. Get it?
I'm only mostly dead inside. Come on.
Thank you, Billy shit.
Crystal.
Thank you, Billy Crystal. All right, we are ready to start this fight here. I want to welcome Robert Winfree to the booth, and we are underway. Rob, as this fight gets started, we've heard Pat's analysis. I know you're not a huge fan of Deontay Wilder. I'm actually surprised you joined us tonight.
Beyonce, Mark. Beyonce Wilder.
Beyonce Wilder. Sorry, I'll get it right one of these days. Give me your 50 words or less on this fight, sir.
I mean, it's a Deontay Wilder fight. It's a clown fiesta. You watch his fights for the comic value, not for the fight value.
I was just saying to Pat, I just noticed it tonight, even though I've watched a number of his fights, that he actually clubs with the palm of his
You're just hand. Now realizing this?
I've never watched it that closely.
God, he's fucking terrible.
His punching, for a guy who's been around boxing as long as he has, he relies on nothing but power. His technique is awful.
Yeah, it really is.
40 fights, and he fucking lunges in with his hands down for a body shot. He's the fucking worst.
So I watched this, and I watched my son mess with his speed bag, and I'm like, all right, you know what? At best, he's as good as Deontay Wilder at this point.
He can only get better.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't train any more a day in his life, he's at least as good as the WBC heavyweight champion.
Deontay Wilder got hit when he was trying to hit somebody. What a shot! He landed one palm strike, and or shote, and he backed up Breazeale, who tucked his chin, winged the nonsensical right hand, then it landed right on Wilder's chin and backed him off.
So, folks,
look, we've talked a little bit about this, but can you seriously imagine the just drubbing that Anthony Joshua would put off this guy?
And we have a knockdown in the first round.
There it is.
Yeah. No, he's getting up. Let's see if he makes a 10 count. Nope, we're done. First round KO. Well, this was a short night, folks.
That was a dive.
You think so?
Yeah, kind of. Well, let me put it like this. He could have beaten that count if he wanted to. I think he just all right, I'll take the payday, and I'll take the extra money I'll take the extra cash in the back for not making Deontay Wilder look like more of a fool than Deontay Wilder makes himself look like.
So let me
bad.
Let me ask you a direct question here. Going into the fight, do you think he was going in taking a dive, or once he got knocked down, it was more like, well, since I'm already on the canvas, let me just make this a short night?
No. Before. Like, look at this guy. Look at the way. Watch the replay of this. Like, watch. He's not fighting like a man who really wants to win the fight. He's fighting like a guy who's like, all right, I'm just gonna try and make it look kind of good.
Go back to that point in the fight where Wilder threw that fucking stupid left hook.
And he gets cracked. Yeah, I mean, look, he clinches right away to give Wilder time to recompose. He's like, oh, God, sorry, man. I'm not supposed to hit you that hard.
Then you look at the following series where he jabs 3 times, and Wilder immediately backs up to the ropes with his earmuffs on, and Breazeale then circles into the corner. How does that make any sense?
Hey, real quick.
It really doesn't.
Real quick, Rob. Who won, RDA or
RDA got the tap, son.
Dos Anjos with that 4th round arm triangle. Dude, Dos Anjos is legitimately great.
Well, I turned it off at almost the beginning of the 4th round because I needed to get boxing on. So was it 4th or 5th round that he tapped him out?
4th.
Okay, cool.
It was a significantly better fight than this one, and it spent the majority of its time in the clinch.
And it was probably real.
True. Look, Kevin Lee and RDA are two. There's guys in the UFC who I imagine, like under the right circumstances, would take a dive. I don't think either of those two are that guy.
I'm waiting for a replay here. I want to see what dropped him.
Oh, it was a straight right. It was a hard punch.
Yeah. It was a right hand over the non-existent left hand.
God, how do you suck so badly against Deontay Wilder that your defense is, all right, I'm going to keep my lead hand at my waist? Like, the man only has power hooks.
This was so short, their replay starts at the beginning of the fight.
It's less than a round. It's less than 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Like, look how terrible this is.
It's just I've seen better technicians fight while getting peanuts thrown at them with no television cameras.
So he's not really jabbing. He's just kind of sticking his arm out there.
And he drops his right hand every time he does it.
It's so bad. Again, can you just imagine the absolute drubbing Anthony Joshua would put on this guy? There's a reason Wilder won't fight him.
How is this guy called a heavyweight champion by anybody? He's a fucking clown. Look, see right there, okay? 3 jabs. And what does he do? He circles into the corner. Walks into the corner with his hands down.
He's giving Wilder time to recover. This looks like a fake fight. Or a fixed fight rather than fake. Because, that's a clean punch that drops him. But it looks fixed.
So in the replay there, he just scored a left hook.
Yeah, it was a slapping hook. There was no weight on it.
Okay, straight right there.
And it still got Wilder to back off. I question his chin.
Okay, so Wilder's got him in the corner now. He's just winging hooks at him. Wow, this is fucking ugly. This is like Rocky ugly.
It's uglier than Rocky. Rocky looks at this guy and goes, I can show you a thing or two.
Yeah, and then he got caught, which he wasn't supposed to. because Breazeale literally ducked his head, wasn't even looking at where he was throwing, and still hit him with the right hand.
Wow, it's so funny. He got nailed there and was like punch drunk walking off the ropes before like the ref was like, "Calm down."
Yeah, like again, Breazeale falls into that clinch. Like, okay, whoa, you can't go down here. I'll never be able to get another fight.
I heard him. Let me not throw any punches after.
There was a warning there to Breazeale. Stop hitting him in the back of the head. Okay.
I have to make this look real. Let me hit him where I can't knock him out. One on the back of the head, one on the hip.
How would you compare... Winfree, how would you compare that to the one that dropped Randy Couture from Lesnar?
I mean...
Because that looked scraping. That didn't look like a solid shot. That looked like it brushed him against the nose and he took a bump.
Again, like I said, this didn't look like a legitimate fight. It looked fixed. That's kind of the reason why. Like, Wilder's got serious power. There's no denying that.
Mm-hmm. But a brush against the nose shouldn't have knocked him on his ass like that.
No, it shouldn't. Welcome to the other side of the looking glass, my friend.
He's just so fucking bad. Like, he's worse than John Ruiz. Here's the replay.
See, like that looked like a hard, solid shot, and Breazeale's still standing.
Yeah, that's not even the one that put him down.
Yeah, that one. Okay. All right. Upon second look, that got him in the teeth too.
Yeah, the second angle actually does kind of help that look better, but still. Again, like I'm pretty sure if he wanted to beat that count and continue fighting, he could have.
I feel like so he got maybe like 2 fingers on the glove in the teeth in the bottom of the nose. So it wasn't a solid shot.
Not solid, but again, there's enough. Wilder has enough raw power that you don't need the absolute cleanest of punches.
Okay, well,
which is how he got by for so long in his career.
Well, that and slapping guys in the side of the head. So again, compare that to the one that drops Randy Couture from Brock Lesnar, which also looked like he just barely touched him.
That also glanced. I mean, look, Couture's chin was shot years before he fought Lesnar, and Lesnar punched him in the temple. I mean, again, the punch from Lesnar was less a knockout blow and more just took his balance. And then Brock got on top of him, and getting Brock Lesnar off of you is a task that, not impossible, mind you, but it's not easy. And Randy was wobbled, and then Lesnar just kept hitting him repeatedly in the head.
All right. For drunken hilarity purposes, Pat, I'll give you the last word on this.
Who thinks this guy is good? He's the fucking shits. He literally has not beaten anybody. They're going to hail this guy like he's fucking good at something when he's not.
Look, this guy needed to bribe, 3 judges just to get to a draw with Tyson Fury?
Yeah. A fucking Miracles Raw with Tyson Fury, who was out for 3 years on coke binges. Shit, I'm pretty sure I could take some Percocets and I'll whip this fucking guy's ass in a street fight.
Can we get you in the ring with him? You look like you could fight at heavyweight when I met you in New York.
What's the weight? What's the boxing heavyweight limit?
Anything above 200 pounds. There is no limit. There is no cap.
There you go.
Hell, I'll fight him.
There we go.
I still weigh over 200 pounds.
I think both of you guys could take this guy.
And you know what I'd do? I'd not let him get set and throw a right hand.
Actually, what I thought you were going to say is, you know what I'd do? I wouldn't take the bribe.
No, I would take the bribe money and I'd double-cross all his people because he's not well-connected. He's from Alabama. The fuck do I have to worry about? The Dixie Mob? You guys all got wiped out by one guy on Justified. Now, granted, it took 6 seasons, but he still fucking did it.
Showtime. Did Showtime do the Canelo pay-per-view that we just watched?
No, that was that ridiculous, awful service called DAZN.
Oh,
that doesn't actually that doesn't even mic the ring. Like, I went back and watched a different version of that fight with proper production values, and frankly, it changed a little bit of my perspective on how the fight went because I could actually hear some of the impact that was being landed. And whereas DAZN's coverage, like, oh, they're landing punches, but I can't hear them because No, like DAZN doesn't actually have production team because Bellator streams on them, and Bellator's production is just like handled by Bellator, and it sounds like every other Bellator event, which is still roughly the sound of vomit hitting the toilet bowl. But
speaking of which, did Jack Swagger win this fight?
Yes, and then had the single worst post-fight promo I've ever heard.
He got a boner for making somebody tap.
Yeah. His actual line about that was, "I am rock hard with emotion. I have a boner."
Terrific.
And this is a sport.
All right, folks. Well, it was it's an abbreviated night.
Wait a minute.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
I cleared a perfectly good Saturday night to do some commentary over something, and what we get to do commentary over is a 2-minute farce.
All right. Well, we're here. Let's take advantage of the opportunity. I have nothing else to do except go to bed, put my CPAP on, and hit the sack. So, Pat, what do you want to do?
I mean, I still got some banquets. There's that thing you put videos on where it shows the video to everybody watching it, and we can commentate over that. I think we should do something with that.
Okay.
And Wilder's celebration of this win is just comical.
Pat, pick a heavyweight fight that people should watch instead of Deontay Wilder. And let's see if we can find it on YouTube.
Current or any time?
You know what? Pick a Tyson fight.
It's a short list.
Yeah, there's not a lot of very good Tyson fights to commentate over. I'm not going to lie.
All right.
I mean, most of them don't last that much longer than this fight did.
All right.
Do you want Roadhouse or do you want like?
I want you to be a teacher and say, look, Deontay Wilder is the shit. This is what you should be watching, and that is what.
Oh, we want technical heavyweight fighting. Okay. So
I mean, how far back do we want to go?
Yeah, that's.
It has to be on YouTube.
Right. So
well, that's not the question. The question is how far back in like the history of boxing do you want to go? Because there's some genuinely great Jersey Joe Walcott fights out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of great technicians who you could watch and be stunned by, or we could do Roadhouse because it's heavyweights, and that's a little more common. And we could do Roadhouse at a little bit of a higher level.
How about Roadhouse at a higher level?
Okay, I like that. How about have either of you guys ever seen George Foreman fight Ron Lyle?
No.
I would guarantee you that is on YouTube.
Let's have a look.
I'm creating the room, by the way.
Perfect. And yeah, I type it in, the full fight comes up. Okay. Multiple versions of it.
Throw the link in the chat.
Okay. I have to mute myself for 1 second there, so forgive me, gentlemen.
Oh, this is young George. Nice. Before he became pushing George. God, Wilder is still talking. Who thought that's a good idea?
I'm posting the invite in the chat.
Guys, he's spent 30 minutes talking about how much he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in the next 4 years, not fighting Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, you know who wants to fight Anthony Joshua? Nobody. Because
nobody wants that. Nobody actually wants that fight. It's a terrible match for most of the division.
Because he's a bad motherfucker.
And we'll be commentating on that fight on June 1st, the day before my birthday.
We'll do that. I will absolutely commentate on that one. For those of you who don't know, there's some legendary heavyweight fights that have taken place. And this happens to be one of the, if not the most famous heavyweight slugfest of all time. You have George Foreman coming off his loss to Muhammad Ali in Zaire, Africa for the World Heavyweight Championship, who had been inactive other than a exhibition in Toronto where he had fights with 5 men in one night. And here you have Ron Lyle, who is coming off of an unsuccessful challenge of the heavyweight championship, but is still one of the top contenders in the world, and a stylist very much like George, He is about power punching. He is about hurting bombs. He is about looking to fight somebody. And, of course, Wilder will not be fighting Anthony Joshua next. He will be fighting a rematch with Louis King Kong Ortiz, it looks like. So Joshua continues to be better than everybody, and Wilder is a pussy.
Okay, well said. All right, so this is from January 24th, 1976, about 6 months before I was, a little over 5 months before I was born. This is on ABC, so we've got, it's a 25-minute video here, and this is what what can we look forward to here, Mr. Mullin?
Roadhouse.
All right.
No, this is one of the must-see fights before you die.
Okay. Winfree, you know anything about this one?
Not a thing. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, if we're all in the, are we all in the room?
I'm there.
All right, Winfree, you're
I
here.
am not. Where is the link?
It's in the group chat.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, my mistake. I will click on that. All right.
There you are. All right. Put your kittens on your mittens, and away we go. Unless I'm aware I got that backwards.
And we just saw two of the most notorious hairstyles of all time. Howard Cosell's toupee and one Don King standing behind him.
So you said this, if I heard you correctly, you said this is after the rematch between Ali and George Foreman. Is that correct?
Well, the one and only match between Ali and Foreman, yes.
Okay.
Ali didn't want any more of that.
This is George's first official fight after that, other than the exhibition he held in Toronto.
Okay. I think I'm confusing the rope-a-dope thing and Ali and, Frazier and George Foreman.
Yes, they would have a second fight a few months after this at the the Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, wow. It's hard to imagine the Nassau Coliseum having anything but wrestling or ice capades of the circus.
It was not a popular boxing venue. There was only two fights I remember there. That one and the second fight between Roberto Duran and my old trainer, Edwin Viruet.
I mean, the Nassau Coliseum wasn't a great venue, period.
It's still not. I don't know what they've done to it.
They haven't demolished it and put something better there.
No. I mean, it was a place to go see shows, but it was nothing special.
So one of the funny things is that these two guys at this point in time were considered super heavyweights. The average heavyweight weighed about 210, 215 during this era. Oof. Lyle weighs in about 220. Foreman probably somewhere in the neighborhood right there of 230, 235, which, of course, knowing his later career is very svelte for him.
Yeah.
Is it me or does Caesar's Palace look like a pile of shit?
Caesar's Palace is technically the outdoor Caesar's Palace, not what it would come to be known as. And yes, it did originate as a pile of shit, because up until the mid-'90s, it was basically an arena built in a parking lot.
Yeah, this is not, again, this period in time, they didn't really actually have a venue. It would take like 3 more casinos being demolished and then other things rebuilt in various places over the next like 10 years before it became a decent venue.
Because the only thing I can compare this to that looks this awkward and this shitty for this level of a sports entertainment match is WrestleMania 4.
I was thinking, honestly, the StubHub Center.
I'm not familiar with the building.
It's a small venue in Carson, California that held a lot of boxing matches probably about 10 years ago, mostly for HBO.
Oh, God, didn't we did one recently where they held it at like Paramount Theater or something, or whatever theater in Los Angeles, and that one looked like crap too.
Yeah, Club Nokia or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we get a good little stare down. And we are ready and raring to go.
Once again, this is George Foreman versus Ron Lyle, 1976 heavyweight match at Caesar's Palace.
George, of course, is the former heavyweight champion of the world. His only loss at this point to Muhammad Ali. Lyle has been in with pretty much most of the top contenders at the time. Guys like Jerry Quarry. Wow.
Jesus Christ.
There's your Deontay Wilder precursor. Even that was a better punch.
I was going to say, shades of Roman Reigns. He was going for a Superman punch.
To the body.
Yes.
Also, screw Roman Reigns.
Fair enough. Apparently his cancer baby face pop has finally worn off.
Lasted about 3 weeks longer than I thought it would.
Indeed. All right, so we actually see some boxing here, some jabbing and feeling each other out. We're not quite into the Roadhouse portion of this fight just yet.
No, and Lyle trying to double and triple the jab against Big George, who has arguably one of the 3 best heavyweight jabs of all time, especially at this point in his career. And Lyle pops one off on him.
Yeah, this is... Oh, God. Foreman's such an interesting case study to go back and rewatch because he's also a great example of just the efficacy of shoving. Like, not even punching, just pushing your opponent.
We see the first clinch of the fight.
I mean, Ali complained about that after their fight, that George pushed him a lot. And, I mean, pushing's a great technique. It's illegal in boxing, and George wouldn't get away with it if he were boxing today, but a lot of his success comes from just, okay, you want to come in? No, I'm going to push you over here and then club you in the face.
Well, he wouldn't get away with it if no one was trying to back him for their network or their app.
It's true.
Fair enough.
And there's a good little swipe that knocked Lyle off balance. That long left hand to George.
How long was George's reach? Because, good grief, that man has arms.
I want
to say George had an 82-inch reach.
I think Lyle just tried to punch him in the dick. Like, he was really low.
Either that or he's deliberately going for the hips to try and slow down George's feet.
You got big men with big bodies and a blind side for the referee. Why not? And again, you see what George wants to do. He wants to take the center, digs a right hand to the body.
That was a good right.
He wants to keep the center.
I feel like George is dropping his hands a lot. Like he's keeping him down he was keeping him down by his waist.
Well, if you look at George, he does keep him down by his waist, but most of the time his hands are extended. And it's almost a cheat because you're not supposed to leave extended hands out there to help you close distance or judge distance faster. And Lyle got a good right hand behind the ear. George is hurt.
Oh, my goodness. Lyle with a big right.
Yeah, now Foreman working the uppercuts in close.
He's trying to tie him up now. He took a couple of good shots there. Yeah. Lyle was swinging for the fences.
Ooh, right George to the kidney. George is still hurt. He took that left hook clean to the chin. I don't want to say completely saved by the bell, but he was happy to get out of that round.
Yeah, Lyle was trying to take his lungs from him and everything else in his body cavity, for that matter.
You see Gil Clancy, the new head trainer of George Foreman after the Ali fight, trying to get the smelling salts into George and wake him up. Short right hand.
That was a great short right hand. Do they still allow that, the smelling salts between rounds?
They do not.
I mean, they do. They allow it for I know, like strongman competitions, and weightlifters always like snort up a bit of that stuff before they go lift an unholy amount of weight. But
yeah, you're allowed to pop ammonia caps now.
I was definitely afraid this was going to be a one-camera shoot. Thankfully, this is at least looking like three cameras.
Are they doing the cover? Are they doing the cover George Foreman with towels in between rounds thing?
They are, because it is a little bit chillier in Las Vegas than they anticipated in January.
Yeah, Vegas gets real hot in certain times of years, but deserts are about precipitation, not temperature.
Yeah, it was freezing. It was freezing when we drove through New Mexico. Go ahead, Pat.
We're just working his left hand a lot more this round to try to keep Lyle away, but he's already taken 2 good short right hands again.
Yeah, that defensive posture he adapted through a lot of the first round is just not playing out against that overhand. He needs to get that lead hand a little bit higher.
That's
in addition to just keeping it busy.
That straight right, did it land? Did it graze? I wasn't quite sure if it made impact or not.
It touched him, but at the end of it, so it wasn't full impact.
George is a lot more active with his lead hand this round.
He's starting to get a little bit comfortable, too. He's throwing a lot more hooks. But there's Lyle again with that right hand, finding the gap.
He got him in the nose with a jab.
Oof.
Oh,
he got a little bit. He got a little bit wobbled by that right.
Lyle put one on his chin.
Foreman.
Oh my
Lyle
God! Yeah, Foreman's
Now
trying
we
to take
get
his face
classic
off.
Foreman. Go to the body, George. If all you do is headhunt, you're going to punch yourself out a little bit.
And there's that classic awkward Foreman right hand to the body. And you can see he's almost afraid to pull the trigger here along the ropes after his fight with Ali.
After all, he just tired him out so consistently with that.
Oh,
It's
Fed
really
up
finding
cut.
some open looks.
so Pat,
But
tell
there's-
me, if Lyle's not in the corner like that, does he go down after that flurry?
Probably.
There's a very good chance, considering who's hitting him and how much he's hitting him.
George is one of the hardest punchers in boxing history.
Jesus, look at those two.
Look,
Listen,
This is the last-
Lyle, I'm not going to underscore Ron Lyle's toughness. Ron Lyle got knifed in the joint 19 times and survived.
Oof.
Look, this is like the last era of boxing when men were men. You know, they would chew gravel and guzzle gasoline. And frankly, I blame Oscar De La Hoya for that era of fighter going away after he paid off the judges to screw him and to screw Marvin Hagler.
You mean Ray Leonard?
Ray Leonard, my mistake. Ray Leonard, not De La Hoya. I don't like De La Hoya either, but different reasons.
God damn
Yeah,
it, Winfree. Go ahead.
So,
Tell me I'm wrong. All right, look, I got the name wrong, but am I wrong in principle?
no. So, what we're seeing here is a shift in momentum. Now, George has kind of found the range, but I think it's interesting that post-Ali, he's not opening up along the ropes on Lyle the way he would have normally. Two things. One, Lyle is not as defensively adept as Ali. And two, the ropes here are not the loose ropes that Ali asked for in Zaire, where he could lean all the way against them and take the sting off George's punches.
Well, Lyle also is very clearly not nearly as adept at fighting in the clinch as Ali was. I mean, that was the entire key to Ali's career renaissance was after he lost some of the speed, he really did master how to use the clinch properly in boxing.
No, and you can see George is really making some awkward movements.
There's
So
the pushing from George.
So I don't know if this is an edit or if this is how ABC did it back in the day, but there have been no commercial breaks during this.
Well, it depends on when it aired on the block, but a lot of times ABC would go straight through on a certain fight. Like, they're live right now, so they only have time for 1-minute commercial spots.
Yeah, but if this were today, they'd be doing 1-minute commercial spots.
This
At
isn't
points,
today.
It's also broadcast TV, so, they had an undercard that they could get most of that stuff in on. Oh, Foreman just short on the right hand, but Lyle gets a good counter in. And George, like Robert said, push off.
Nice body shots from George. Lyle really sagged into the ropes there.
And Lyle's almost trying to bait George in for that overhand right. He's leaning, looking for the opening.
Yeah, he's kind of sticking his chin out there.
And he might also be playing a little bit of head games. Like, he's recognized that George is a lot more hesitant about the ropes and is daring him to really open up in this position that he's clearly not all that comfortable with.
And you could see Lyle sticking an extended left hand out there. Figures if George can get away with it, so can I.
That's one of the things if you're...
And there's a good right hand by Lyle.
That was a good right.
Nice jab.
And Foreman immediately goes back to just jabbing, like, all right.
Well, notice he's also been hit with quite a few of Lyle's jabs. I mean, he really flicks those off, and tags him right in the nose.
Yeah,
the issue is that Foreman's jab is more consistent. Like, they'll spear on jabs occasionally, but Lyle's jabs are about, 1 out of every 8 to 10 punches he throws, whereas with George, it's 1 out of every, 3 or 4.
And George's jab is a power punch, make no mistake.
Yeah, he's putting weight behind that thing. He's not just flicking.
And now he's putting a combination together. He's just short on the left hook, but he's got Lyle in the corner. He hasn't taken full advantage of it.
That was a weird-looking overhand there.
Well, Lyle's
a good short right.
And some of Lyle's defense is a lot of extended arms, kind of the old mummy guard, which is shockingly effective in boxing. I mean, if you want another more modern example in a different sport, Daniel Cormier uses a lot of the mummy guard because it shuts down punches. It leaves you very vulnerable to kicks to the head, but...
So I don't know if you noticed, but they cut the corner out of that one. I'm guessing this is an edit, and they cut the commercial out.
Yeah. And thus far through 2 rounds, I have Ron Lyle ahead 2-1.
I have it Canelo 5-4.
That makes sense.
But look, Canelo not even in the womb.
And Ron Lyle got another good right hand through over the
That
top.
was a good what? That was a good right.
George is a little bit wobbly there. An uppercut.
He got a
Lyle
little
digs to the body.
He got a little shaky knee on that one.
Ooh. Oh, he's hurt. And he's down.
Oh, down
Foreman.
goes Foreman. Well, he's back up again.
A tremendous combination from Lyle, and the big man is down.
Foreman looks absolutely just annoyed.
Non-paused.
I mean, look. Foreman has this going for him. He doesn't look all that much different when he's completely coherent versus when he's punch drunk.
No, he just had to. I wasn't even saying like he was on Queer Street or anything like that. It was more of he just looks like, well, now I feel sheepish.
Can't believe I got dropped.
God damn it! I'm on ABC TV.
How can this happen?
And now they're starting to go to
now
war.
we get
Oh,
Rittenhouse.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, those left hooks. Oh, they're just clubbing each other.
Oh my
And
God!
Lyle.
They
And
pull a
Lyle
Rocky
goes
and yeah, down goes Lyle. How do you like them apples, bitch? Yeah, they were actually. There was a couple there where they knocked each other. They hit each other like simultaneously. They pulled a Rocky Apollo moment.
Oh yeah, no, these two are going at it, and now Foreman comes in for the kill.
So what happened here, Pat? What happened to boxing where you don't see much of this sort of thing anymore?
Crack cocaine in the 1980s.
I was just gonna say Mike Tyson, but okay.
Crack cocaine in the 1980s. Lyle and Foreman are 2 guys from impoverished backgrounds who sought a better way, and they found it through boxing. In the 1980s, you did that with crack cocaine, and that's why you saw so much less outreach for talented heavyweights in America in the 1980s. And you see Foreman just going
those lefts
here.
Good grief.
So clearly,
And
then Lyle cracked him
so
with that.
clearly Lyle was hanging on to the ropes, like literally like laundry, just kind of shifting all of his weight there until he caught a
they
breath.
had the same rule about knockdowns against the ropes that they do now.
Rock.
And now Foreman is hanging on to Lyle to stay up.
Oh, that right.
Oh, down goes Foreman. Okay, if this were today, he'd be done. If you fall face first like that, you're out.
Tyson Fury is evidence to the contrary. And the bell probably saves Foreman there. Good grief, that was a round.
Well, you can't be saved by the bell in today's boxing, yeah?
Depending
he wasn't necessarily saved by the bell. He was up and they counted completed, but that was right at the end of the round.
No, it's just a general thing. They say it now.
Left hook.
At the end of
right
it.
hand. Foreman with a right left.
Foreman with
Lyle
left.
measures the
Boom.
right hook.
Lowers the boom.
Yeah, there was no faking that one. Dude, he fell on his head.
Yeah, the other thing about great heavyweight boxers is the salaries in the NFL really started taking off again towards the 80s. So, I mean, Pat referenced it before, that famous line about who's the next great heavyweight boxer. He's playing linebacker for the Ravens.
Yeah, all right, that makes sense.
He's playing linebacker for the Ravens, or he's playing power forward for the Knicks.
Yeah, there's a lot of the other sports really started gaining a lot of momentum. And a lot of the athletic talent started being scooped up for those ventures rather than getting punched in the face.
And schools were much more inclined to coach and allow those programs than they were to allow kids to box.
Yeah,
Here we are round 5.
You don't have the school boxing programs anymore like you used to.
I was saying, given the amount of special needs kids my wife deals with, we need to bring back boxing.
We need to bring it back just to stop raising pussies.
You and I just said the same thing but differently.
Look, Marvin Hagler used to do all of his road work in army boots because he thought running shoes were for pussies. That's a man right there.
That is a man.
Oh, God, Foreman's jab I can't believe he recovered that quickly from that knockdown, because that was a gnarly one. Oh, the left.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it looked like he went out. He fucking landed on his head, but he got right back up again.
Oh,
You're talking about
that uppercut. Oh,
too.
Lyle's gonna punch himself out trying to knock George Foreman unconscious. Holding and hitting.
Lyle has been saved so much in this fight by those ropes.
Again, taking notes from Muhammad Ali, using those ropes.
And that left. And Foreman's left.
Every time Foreman has gone down, he's been in like almost the center of the ring. Every time Lyle looks like he's going to go down, he hangs. He's there. It is. He goes straight to the ropes.
Look at that series of jabs from George, and Lyle still blasts him with the right.
Lyle has given up fucking defense is what's happened here.
Oh, those body shots from both guys. Oh, the uppercut.
I mean, there is a technical aspect to this fight, but this is starting to mimic fucking Tough Man. There's no pretense of defense.
They both know there's technique, and they both kind of they've thrown so much at each other.
Oh,
now,
Jesus,
this is technically a knockdown.
Yeah, I was going to say,
in today's world, that's a knockdown. That wasn't the rule at the time.
No, it was. If you are held up by the ropes, that's a knockdown. Yeah.
So the ref just screwed that up. Okay, fair enough.
I
always forget when that rule was implemented.
I'm wondering if ABC told them, unless somebody actually falls on the canvas, just let it go.
Foreman pushing everything he's got.
And Lyle goes down.
There we go. See, smart. That was smart of Foreman not to go crazy there and keep just pounding on him. Back up and let him fall.
Yeah, that's it. He's done. Like dinner. Put a fork in him.
Yep, we're out. Wow. That was a good one, Pat.
That was a really nice choice.
It is a top 5 on the list of heavyweight fights you must see.
And now I have seen it. Outstanding.
Yeah, that would be George's second to last win before his first retirement.
You can just see on some of those punches the names for George's future children stop being something loosely creative and just being George. All
right.
Where we go from here, George would go on to, as I said, fight Joe Frazier at the Meadowlands and knock him out in 5 rounds. And
that's just a bad matchup for Frazier, man.
It's
just stylistically.
And then he would go on to lose an upset decision in Puerto Rico, controversially, to Jimmy Young.
He's lucky he just didn't get stabbed.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Although he's not going after the promotion there, so. But no, he would lose a controversial upset decision to Jimmy Young and have a vision of God and become a preacher. And then years later, he went from this menacing villain of a heavyweight to everybody's grandpa who they wanted to see fight and win and not get hurt. And Lyle would get a shot at Muhammad Ali later in the year and lose very much in the same way Foreman did by rope-a-dope in the 11th round knockout and not really contend seriously after that. He would have a fight with Jerry Cooney later on in Cooney's ascent to a title shot, but never really mounted a serious title run again.
This is one of those fights that just takes a significant portion of who you are as a person and you leave it in the canvas as you exit the ring.
So the moral of this story is don't look at Deontay Wilder as a competent heavyweight championship boxer. Look to your elders. Look to George Foreman.
Just look to Joshua, man. Not that we don't have to go back in time, man. Look at Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko. That's a great fight.
Okay. Pat, do you want to do another one of these, or are you satisfied and we can do plugs?
I can do as many of these as you guys want to do if you're up for it. I got tons of these.
You know what? Let me see if Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko's on here. Since I've never seen it.
Really?
You seriously have not seen Joshua and Klitschko?
That is a wonderful fight. That was the best heavyweight fight I'd seen probably since maybe Razor Ruddock Tommy Morrison.
It's several years.
Huh. I actually don't know how I missed this one. Oh, it was on Sky Sports, that's why.
Because you didn't You know what? Because you are a fine, upstanding person of moral integrity who would not steal it.
Nope.
No, Joshua doesn't really fight on, like, U.S. pay-per-view. He's a massive star in the U.K., and almost no one in the States knows who he is. It's a crying shame.
All right, so here we go. This is April.
Can we just retire Michael Buffer already? Jeez.
No, come on. He's the buff.
This is
Look, I respect him. I respect the history. I respect the fact that he got into popular culture. He's really good at his job. I mean, I'm not knocking that. My question is more, how have we not found someone better by this point?
This is April 29th, 2017. So this is fairly recent. Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko.
This fight, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was for the belt that Tyson Fury basically vacated after he had his breakdown?
I don't think so. I think that there were, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is for two belts that Fury was stripped of for refusing to fight Joshua, and both of those sanctioning bodies had both Klitschko and Joshua as the top two rated contenders.
Fair enough.
I could be wrong, but I believe that's the scenario.
So is this London, or is this somewhere in England, or is this Germany?
I want to say this is at Wembley, but I, again, could be wrong.
I will look that up.
So I'm wondering if so this is on Sky Sports in Europe. I'm wondering
Yeah, they were at Wembley.
if Europe if where this could be seen in the U.S., like if it was on Epix or something.
Tape delayed replay on HBO.
Yeah, this was HBO broadcast.
Okay.
Because I remember seeing it on HBO and avoiding most of the news all day.
Oh, I know why. I know why I missed this. I was dying at the time. That's right.
You say that, you're still alive.
I came back.
And you will again, so.
I got better.
I was only mostly dead in April.
Oh,
Mark, you just saw George Foreman mostly dead, and look what he did.
I have no doubt.
Curse you, Vladimir Klitschko, for this walkout music.
I have it on mute. What's he walking out?
I'm assuming it's still Red Hot Chili Peppers, right?
It is.
Yeah, can't stop.
Terrific.
I mean, he used it for the better part of 15 years.
I mean, again, the man gets credit for just sticking to it, but I don't care for the Chili Peppers generally. I think their music's unbelievably dated.
I like the Chili Peppers. I just think Faith No More does what they do better.
Fair enough.
I would agree with that.
I also have like 3 other fighters that come out to Chili Peppers songs where I just can't stand.
First of all, I'm against any Russian coming out to anything but the Russian national anthem.
There's other things besides the Russian national anthem you can come out to.
No, there isn't.
No.
There are.
Pat.
Well, no. Okay, first of all, you don't mean the Russian national anthem. You guys mean the old Soviet national anthem.
Yes, correct. Because I think he's actually like Ukrainian, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So, and look, the Soviet Union was a terrible, terrible place for Russians. It was actually worse for the satellite countries.
Sure.
Yeah, but they had a bitching, imposing national anthem.
Oh, yeah, no, look, it's a great piece of music. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, this is about jingoism, Winfree, not, accuracy or anything else.
Like, so honestly, as great as Apollo's entrance at Rocky IV is to fight Drago, Drago's entrance in Moscow against Rocky might be just as good.
It's better. I'm not a fan of James Brown.
Oh, my God, Jesse and I had so much fun.
Carl Weathers is just amazing.
Jesse and I had so much fun with the Living in America video. That's one of my favorite Metal Hammer of Doom extras we've ever done.
Detroit City, dollar.
Drive your car. Pick up the mail. That was sort of.
I say this completely unironically. Rocky IV has one of the best soundtracks in movie history.
Dude, by far. I think it's the first album my son fell in love with. Though, ashamedly, he also likes Imagine Dragons, so,
Oh, I thought
you have not beaten that child enough.
I'm aware.
Ashamedly, his favorite song on the album is Double or Nothing by Kenny Loggins and Roberta Flack.
No, he hates fucking Double or Nothing. Like, he likes everything else on there.
You've done something right.
He loves every song on the Rocky IV soundtrack except for Double or Nothing. He's like, yeah, that's one we can skip.
Dude, there was a training video on YouTube a while back of George Chuvalo. And if you don't know who George Chuvalo is, he's one of the greatest Canadian heavyweights of all time. He fought Ali, fought Frazier, fought Foreman, and he's noted for having the greatest chin in the history of boxing because he was never knocked down. And there's like old school training footage, or at least there was, it's not up anymore, of him training for his first fight with Ali, just all in black and white and real like dungeon style training to War by Vince DiCola. Nice. And like I don't know how it came out. We had just gotten back from like the Jersey Shore, and we're at my buddy Pete's house, and like we're just screwing around watching stuff on YouTube, and that came up. We just chugged raw eggs and ran laps around his block.
Darn right.
And then once we yacked, the push-up contest was on.
Okay, we can all agree also, just for the record, No Easy Way Out is the best song on the Rocky IV soundtrack, right?
By a country mile.
Okay, good.
Oh, you know what?
No, don't get me wrong. I love Hearts on Fire. I really do, but
yeah,
it's second to No Easy Way Out.
I'm gonna go with No Easy Way Out, and I'll tell you why. Because there was this music file sharing service called Napster, and literally the first song I downloaded on Napster was Robert Tepper, No Easy Way Out. So that wins.
Have you heard our Metal Hammer of Doom for the No Easy Way Out video in the creep factor in that that we talked about?
The abandoned warehouse?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That's the one. where Robert Tepper is chasing the viewer around the warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay, Joshua. Now this is walkout music.
I have it on mute, so I cannot tell.
He's coming out to Carmina Burana.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Like the number of people who just come out to crappy music when there's all this great classical stuff.
Oh, well, look at like Gennady Golovkin, who was the man for so long, but he came out to Seven Nation Army.
Really? I appreciated him switching to just the theme from The Matrix because he's frickin' Lomachenko.
Well, I was gonna say you're talking Lomachenko. I'm talking
my mistake.
Golovkin.
Golovkin, yeah. Oh god, Golovkin coming out to Seven Nation Army was so bad.
I told Jesse when I make my son become a professional fighter, he's coming out to a song by Battle Beast that we reviewed on the most recent Metal Hammer of Doom. If
there's a band that probably made music designed to be walked out to, it's probably Manowar.
Yeah.
Agreed.
They've never been on Metal Hammer of Doom.
I don't even know when the last Manowar album was.
I'm thinking 1988.
You might be right about that. Did John Bush ever go back to them?
No.
Oh, wait, was that only for his hype package? He's going to walk out to something else? Come on, man, don't do that.
But I also used to use Typo Negative on occasion as my walkout songs.
That's an interesting choice.
Well, kill all the white people?
I got to be pretty friendly with Pete Steele before he passed, so...
Oh, I love Typo Negative, so you won't get any argument from me.
Yeah, but I got to be pretty friendly with Pete Steele before he passed, and so like he actually was at 2 of my fights, which was really cool.
That's cool. Is everybody else's picture as shitty as mine right now?
No, I think my picture's pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty happy with mine.
It might just be my computer then.
Okay, no, he's actually walking out to something else. That was just for his pre-hype thing. I don't recognize this piece.
It could be the bank we're talking, but... Guys,
it takes a confident man to wear white trunks, white shoes, white gloves, in a white robe on your walk to the ring.
Does Anthony Joshua have a better body than I do?
Anthony Joshua has a better body than like 87.5% of the entire world.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm part of that 87%.
I mean, it might have been the jacket you were wearing, but you look like you look like a lineman in football, Pat, when I met you.
Yeah, I'm very broad-shouldered. I do think the baby blue Hennig jacket brought that out a little bit, but
like I said, I wasn't. I it's hard to tell, and then the next time I saw you, we were sitting. So, and I don't know if you are going to accept this or not, but I wasn't really checking out your body the whole time we hung out together.
I mean, we both know that's a lie, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah, Mark, come on, man. Why are you from?
Okay, well, when I wasn't looking for John, who kept ditching us, I was checking out your body. You're right.
Yeah, John was looking for a place to nap. So I see the white gloves and everything, and all I can think of is the great white hype. Terry, look what I've got you.
I was going to say Sage Northcutt.
No, I mean the
God, that
actual
poor
movie.
guy.
Ugh. There was a
Yeah,
rumor that he was going to play Drago's son in Creed 2. He'd have been better off than continuing his MMA career.
Well,
I mean, he signed with One, and One's first thing is, okay, here's this world champion kickboxer who's a legitimate purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
yeah, we're going to give you probably
And
the
already,
best fighters he's ever
I mean,
had.
Cosmo's record is like 18-1 or 18-2 in MMA. Like, the man
Yeah.
can fight.
And he's a legitimate, great stand-up fighter in MMA terms.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, he broke his face in like 8 places with that punch.
With that one right hand.
Did Sage now get cut from the UFC, or did he quit?
A while
or
ago.
what?
Well, he chose not to re-sign with them. One offered him a lot of money.
Okay.
Well, the UFC also didn't offer him the same deal he was getting when they originally signed him, and he wasn't going to take less money to continue to be in the UFC and fight legitimate competition. So instead, he took more money from One to fight a theoretically lower level of competition, and instead they put him in there against legitimately one of the better fighters they have. And One actually has a lot of good fighters you've just never heard of.
Yeah, it's the lower weight guys that the UFC sucks at promoting.
Yeah. Oh God, the guy that knocked out Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah.
Well,
Also, One's
defi-
weight cutting policy is so stupid.
in defense of the UFC, I don't think there's a market for the lower weight guys here than there might be across the seas. I mean, I
So
think
you're
it's
saying it's exactly the same as boxing?
correct.
That's a fair point.
We
I
like
mean, I
we
think
like
there's
our
a-
monster men here. We're not into
I think
we're
what-
not
what
into the
the-
midgets.
The worst thing about HBO pulling the plug on their boxing is over the past 6 months of their last boxing broadcast, they put on some great junior flyweight, junior bantamweight fights with legitimate world-class competition. And those were great. Oh, they were great. And here we got the tail of the tape. We're finally here, folks.
Jesus Christ, Anthony Joshua is a scary looking motherfucker.
He's a large man.
You know what's funny is he's still scary standing next to Vlad.
Yeah, and Vlad's not exactly a cuddly human being.
No, he's very.
You know, and again, I know that a lot of people are going to put Vlad over as the superior Klitschko because of his longer career. Vitaly was so good.
Oh,
He
God.
was so good.
Well, Vitaly was also a much bigger puncher than Vladimir.
Yeah,
He was, and he took it better. That's the big difference.
I would say 2015, 16, maybe even earlier. I was watching a lot of boxing, and I actually did notice that at the time that his brother, that Vitaly's fights were much more fun to watch for me than Vladimir's.
I think Vlad, just because of his previous lack of success in certain instances, was more inclined to fight a very disciplined, safety-first fight, whereas Vitaly, a lot of times, he just knew he was that good. He didn't have to keep his hands up and back away and move. Like when he fought Chris Arreola, he had his hands at his waist in the center of the ring, daring Arreola to come at him and lighting him up with combinations.
Vladimir also would do these really stupid things. Like, wasn't there one fight that he won literally without throwing his right hand at all?
Yeah, he tore his rotator cuff.
And just like, okay, only the left.
Oh,
Yep.
And I mean,
go ahead.
and credit to the guy for being that tough. Torn rotator cuffs really suck.
Yeah, Vitaly, that's how Vitaly got one of his only 2 losses. He tore his rotator cuff against Chris Bird and decided not to continue. And, of course, he was labeled a quitter and he had no heart and whatever.
Ugh.
And, of course, what he was doing is trying to prolong his career.
Yeah, I think I do not understand the ridiculous dude bro logic of I'd be in there to fight. Like, you're the same morons who say I'd play in the NFL for free. Yeah, because you're useless.
Well,
the
there's
average NFL player makes millions of dollars because they do something a select percentage of humanity can do.
Well,
You jackasses who go, I'd play for free. Sure, no one would watch.
There's the distinction of, though, like a guy like Vitaly quitting in a fight he was well ahead in with a torn rotator cuff versus Victor Ortiz quitting when things got difficult for him.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
Victor Ortiz would quit when if you called him a name in the ring.
Look, like I remember that first night where he lost to Maidana, things started off well for him. He dropped Maidana, and then Maidana came back and was like, I'm still here to fight, knocked him down, and Victor Ortiz quit. There's
Hey,
Arnold.
Arnie. You see the guy who tried to drop kick Arnold?
And Arnold barely moved.
God, that was so hilarious.
Didn't Victor Ortiz almost cry in the ring?
His post-fight words were, "I don't think I deserve to get beat up like this."
Right. And I was like, what? And I just started watching boxing at the time, and I'm like, who is this pussy?
I was in Atlantic City that night, okay? And this is a true story. I was in Atlantic City that night, and Victor Ortiz had just left Top Rank and signed with Golden Boy for that fight. And
that would explain why he felt he didn't deserve to get beat up like that.
Well, and Top Rank was running a show in Atlantic City that night with, what's his name? Yuriorkis Gamboa on the semifinal bout, and Juan Manuel Lopez on the final. And I happened to be at the bar at Bally's with two guys from Top Rank. We're talking, and I was there with two friends. We weren't at the fight. We were just gambling, having fun. And they were talking about, Top Rank makes him, Golden Boy breaks him. I said, you guys were Top Rank? They go, yeah. I said, your guy Lopez sucks. He said, what are you talking about? I said, first of all, Gamboa would eat him alive, which I maintain had they fought he would have. And second off, I said, your guy Lopez can't take it. And they were like, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. I said, yeah, Lopez ain't that good. And his next fight, he fought a veteran, not a world beater or anything, but just a tough veteran named Rogers Matagwe from Africa. Never a world champion, This guy went life and death with Rogers, walked away with a very fortunate decision, and never lived up to the hype train that they were putting him to be.
Speaking of not knowing what you're talking about, so our Canelo podcast, shortly afterwards I went on Twitter, and I think it was somebody from one of the boxing blogs put something very pro Canelo, very positive on the Canelo fight for Canelo, and I think I was like, I think my reaction to that was I'm like, oh, the fight was fixed or whatever, and the response I got back was, says somebody who clearly doesn't know anything about boxing.
Yeah, that's that's like all they're trying to do is dismiss because they can't actually defend their position.
That's literally what it is. If you bring up the points where I didn't see him landing cleanly.
I mean, if you want to argue that Canelo won that fight, fine, let's sit down, let's go round by round, and let's have a discussion. I say he didn't win, and your response is you clearly know nothing. Like, all right, you don't actually want to try and support your case you don't want to actually support your point.
No, and I'm not going to get into it with these guys, I don't, as you called it, my Twitter feed is sort of a pile of trash, but,
I mean, Twitter's a giant pile of trash, you're not that different.
I just don't feel the need to engage with a lot of these people. It's the people who were my friends or whatever, and we might have a minor disagreement or whatever. Like Sam Mercati and I were talking about Game of Thrones, and it was like he said a thing, I said a thing, he said, I said, and we're like, okay, we're done with this. It was nice and peaceful.
Yeah, you should really only engage with Twitter with people you actually know, because otherwise there's no point to it. Like, I did that once. I went one time. I tweeted something and I just got it got caught up in other stuff. Mm-hmm. And then a bunch of other people had conversations because they were replying to other people who were replying to me. I got tagged and all that crap. And there was one of them that made just a stupid point, so I decided, all right, I'm going to be civil about this, but I'm going to respond. And this guy and I had like a 3 or 4 exchange, and we arrived at a conclusion that, okay, turns out we're both reasonable people. Wow, what we took away from that was, hey, this is our one positive interaction on Twitter for the entire year. Thank you.
Yeah. But on the negative side, this is my last banquet.
Aww.
However, I will point out that obviously in the corner of Vladimir, you saw his brother Vitaly. You also saw Jonathan Banks, former cruiserweight fighter and later heavyweight fighter, who took over for the late Emmanuel Stewart. And I will be the first to say I don't think Vladimir without Emmanuel was capable of anywhere near what he was with him.
Okay. Here, I found it. This was from actually FightNights.com. Across the board here at Fight Nights, we pick Canelo by decision. Safe pick. And I wrote, Jacobs really should have won. Hashtag fix was in, et cetera, et cetera. And his response said nobody who knows boxing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know shit about boxing.
Look, if you want to put forth an argument that Canelo won, fair play. Like,
But
I
give
don't
me
agree, but, like, actually, if your argument is, well, all the judges agreed, and I'm going along with the herd, that's not actually an argument.
Right.
No, if you tell me something where, I felt that the punches landed looked visibly more hurtful to Jacobs, blah, blah, blah. I felt like the punches that were landed by one guy were on the arms and shoulders versus clean connections on the other side. But whatever, I get it, but you're not doing that. You're just trying to belittle somebody without any actual evidence, which means you probably can't actually prove what you're doing.
I mean, I don't mind disagreements, but you want to engage in a dialogue, fine, let's engage in a dialogue. And if all you want to do is just, no, this never happened, like, all right, fine.
And I think this is the only time in Vladimir Klitschko's career where he had back-to-back fights with guys he gave up height to.
You know what fight was pretty terrible of his? His fight against David Haye. Oh,
that was very bad.
That had
so
much hype.
What a grudge match that was sold to be, and blah, blah, blah. And David Haye never went in on him. Vladimir kept him at the end of his jab, and David Haye wound up trying to blame it on a broken toe.
Yeah.
I think afterwards Dana White was like, I don't even know why I watched this.
Well, Dana also had an event the same day, if I'm not mistaken, so he was trying to use that.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the pay-per-views. All right, here we go, round one.
Okay, you can watch actual... okay. Yeah, Klitschko's jab is so good.
Vlad immediately center of the ring to try to dictate the land battle. And it's very important to a guy like Vlad to get center of the ring. But look at Joshua, not afraid. Going to make his shots count.
Huh. Carl Frock is providing commentary on this fight.
Nice little turn from Joshua there.
What a stat. Klitschko has more knockouts than Joshua has completed rounds.
That is a hell of a stat, actually.
Which kudos to both men for that.
Yeah.
And again, you see Klitschko wanting to take the center, control the distance. He knows Joshua is the actual taller, longer fighter, so Vlad wants to dictate where this fight is taking place. It's a sound strategy.
Yeah, there's a lot of battle with the lead hand going on from both guys. They're fighting for punching lanes a little bit.
Vlad immediately looked much better in this fight than he did against Tyson Fury, where he was just puzzled, confused, and Banks didn't have any answers for him. Joshua obviously fights a much more orthodox style, so in that respect, it's almost a little easier to deal with because it's what you're used to.
Yeah. The number of people who, especially very traditional fighters, even if the unorthodoxy is kind of stupid, they just have no idea how to actually deal with it in real time, is relatively high.
So what I like about this is Klitschko's on his toes. He's using his footwork. He's bouncing around. You know, it's like I've watched so many fights lately where the guy just seems so flat-footed.
They're both up on their toes.
Vlad does the opposite of a Wilder here, in that when he gets in closer, the right hand creeps up closer and closer to his chin and cheekbone, especially when he jabs, versus Deontay, who just drops it completely. We've seen that right hand of Klitschko pick off two good left hooks from Joshua already.
Yeah. His defense thus far is quite sound.
I don't think it's a fair comparison.
Nice right to the body.
To compare the defense of Klitschko to Deontay Wilder, who has no defense.
Why not? They're both heavyweights.
Boom.
Ooh, that left to the body.
And that's one of the
immediate by Joshua.
One of the immediate differences you see from Anthony Joshua versus most heavyweights. Not afraid to throw to the body, knows when to throw to the body. But again, Vlad, he keeps his right hand up and he uses that left hand very similar to George Foreman. Not a push out, but keeps it extended more than he should, and it allows him to pick off punches coming in.
It just makes the punching lanes and the angles difficult to navigate. It's one of the reasons they don't like you doing it.
Now, you had in that round where Klitschko was the ring general, Joshua was the aggressor. Clean, effective punching, not a tremendous amount on either side. I would argue Joshua landed the cleanest punches. Though I don't know that they were any more effective, I would probably edge the round to Anthony Joshua.
I'd agree with that.
And Joshua, trained by Robert McCracken, former super middleweight contender, has done a tremendous job. The corner of Vladimir, Jonathan Banks, stitched around, and his brother Vitaly.
My feed keeps freezing.
That's on you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I saw the same picture.
No, my computer is just really slow.
Ooh, good right by Vladimir.
He stepped right in and shot it over the top before Joshua got settled in. And the one thing with Vlad in the Fury fight that preceded this, he just didn't pull the trigger at any point because he was so confused. Here, he's much more active and much more willing, it seems, to engage, which, we'll see how that works out for him. Joshua shoots a right hand short.
Well, one of the interesting things I think about Vladimir, and I think this is one of the things that Tyson Fury really capitalized on, is Vladimir's timing is, I don't want to say predictable, but he operates on a very kind of consistent rhythm. And disrupting that timing does kind of throw him off a little bit. And it's one of the things Fury did very, very well, was just in the moments when Vladimir was not expecting a punch, not really thinking about it, just stuff on the half beat. And
yeah,
I think that's one of the things Joshua's going to start picking up on as this fight goes on.
Yeah, the herky-jerky man won a fight between them where neither of them landed more than in single digits in any round. Again, visibly, it was one of the worst fights you'd ever see, but it was the kind of fight Fury needed to have to win. So while it wasn't visually or aesthetically pleasing, I get why Fury fought that way. It's what he had to do to win, and he did. And now Joshua is starting to be a little bit more aggressive, stepping in behind his jab. He's not found his range yet.
Now, a lot of his jabs are falling just a little bit short, and Vladimir's his footwork looks really good.
He's very light on his feet. He's in tremendous shape.
So good at judging distance.
And Joshua's starting to parry that jab of Klitschko, and I mean, that opens up other defensive liabilities, but that goes to show you how good Vladimir's jab is, that he's forcing Joshua to adjust to it with his defense.
What Joshua's looking to do is play pitch and catch here. He wants to catch Vladimir's jab and come back with 1-2 of his own to capitalize on that distance and find the range for his right hand behind it. These two sparred back, I believe it was about 4 years before this fight took place for one of Klitschko's training camps. And Joshua said he felt like that was the best experience he ever had.
Probably was. Yeah, Joshua's really... It's weird. Half the time he has a really good sense of where he is in the ring, but then he finds himself in a position like this where Klitschko's ring generalship is causing him problems.
Yeah, you're not going to find a lot of guys who are better at taking the lead and cutting and putting a guy where they want them to be than Vladimir, and that's the end of the round. I would argue that Vladimir had a better round there.
It was said.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I'd say we're around a piece.
It was said of Klitschko in one of the previous fights that I did see that there are some who are boxers and some who are punchers. Klitschko is a classic boxer.
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, Klitschko came out at the tail end of the amateur program where what you call the European style was still predominantly it, where it was very much 1-2, 1-2, use your distance, use your reach, 1-2, 1-2, very seldomly throwing hooks, rarely throwing uppercuts, and rarely, if ever, throwing body punches. The new Eastern Bloc style is very much different than that, as you've seen products like Lomachenko, Golovkin, and Kovalev come out of there. And even now, Gvozdyk, who is the new light heavyweight kingpin, another product of that. These guys are very different than that style of fighter.
Yeah, I looked up Lomachenko's gold medal winning bouts the other night, just kind of on a lark, and good grief, that man is just so many levels above his opposition in both cases. They weren't even competitive fights.
Now we're seeing a lot.
Oh, here we go with Joshua.
Mark, thoughts so far?
It's a very technical fight. I mean, this is it's funny when I think about what we just saw in the last time we watched the Deontay Wilder fight, what we saw then versus this. I mean, I can see why you're so down on Deontay Wilder. Yeah.
You mean you have eyes?
I'm just, I'm watching these guys do some classic boxing. I mean, they're not just winging hooks They're not doing that slapping that he does. They're actually trying, looking for openings.
Shote, Mark. Shote.
Oh, God. Yeah, Joshua's body work is a really interesting component to this because you talked about Vladimir just coming from a lot of the headhunting school of thought. And it's starting to show a little bit as the fight goes on. The only thing he goes to the body with, I think, is his jab, which occasionally will dip down to the chest. Whereas Joshua, if he, depending on the angle that Vladimir's taking, he'll swing a right to the body as Vlad's exiting the angle.
Vladimir Klitschko kind of bouncing around the ring is kind of fun to watch. I mean, granted, back a few years ago, his style bored me as a viewer, but now just kind of watching for the technical aspects, I love watching his footwork, the way he shifts his shoulders. There's such nuance to his boxing style.
It's beautiful.
Honestly, this was the best Vladimir Klitschko that had come out in years because he was fighting the best level of opposition he had seen in years.
Bit of a push there from Joshua, and his left hook falls a little bit short.
Oof, look at that right.
And Vladimir took notice of it because he immediately circled in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Double jab by Joshua. And now Joshua has been doing more work taking the center of the ring away from Vladimir and making him uncomfortable.
Yeah, and as a direct result, you can see anytime Vladimir finds himself in a spot he doesn't like, he's lunging forward to clinch and try to reset his position in the ring. Which, in fairness, is not the worst idea in the world.
God, how did I go through 12 banquets like that?
You knew you were going to watch a Deontay Wilder fight.
Probably right.
Now Vladimir's getting back to the center of the ring. He's the one kind of pushing things forward.
You said you cleared your evening for this. Did you actually have potentially a hot date tonight, or what?
I wouldn't say a hot date. More like I could have gone and seen some local bar band or something.
Oh.
Interesting round. I mean, that might be a draw round, but I'm leaning a bit towards Joshua.
It's hard to pick one there where there wasn't anything definitive one way or another.
I don't know. I think Joshua landed more heavy hands in that round than Klitschko did, so I would have to agree that one goes to Joshua.
That's a round that I don't disagree with, like a 10-10.
What we're seeing is a very even keel fight right now, where each guy's had their moments doing what they do best, and nobody's really been able to be authoritative one way or another to change the momentum enough to dictate the fight as a whole.
I mean, maybe you give that round to Klitschko if you're in favor of awarding a round to somebody who makes the other guy miss more often. But like I said, I think Joshua did more damage that round than Klitschko did.
Ultimately in a round like that, the main component
is...
good right hand.
Right from Klitschko.
Best punch of the fight, and Joshua is definitely a little bit bothered by that.
Yeah, his hands immediately went up.
It comes down to who would you have rather been in that round?
And apparently Anthony Joshua worked as a bricklayer before boxing.
Yeah, well, look at the physique, look at the work ethic. I'm not surprised. And Joshua very much on the alert now after that solid right hand from Klitschko.
Yeah, he's being he's on full-on counter mode with his defense first at this point. And there's his right. But Klitschko shoulder rolled with that rather nicely, actually. Took a lot of the sting out of that.
He did while circling in that direction. It was a good defensive move.
Yeah, Joshua's kind of starting. Anytime they tie up, Joshua's kind of grabbing over the gloves now. I don't know if he's just trying to prolong it or if he's trying to sap a little bit of the energy from the arms of Klitschko. But
that's what you want to do. You want to try to put weight on the other guy as much as you can, especially as a heavyweight, and just take away what you can. David Fields is your referee. David Fields is a big referee. That's why he gets a lot of these heavyweight assignments. You see a double jab from Joshua. He's a hard guy to get the blind side of.
I feel like it was the Potemkin fight. Povetkin fight with Klitschko, where Klitschko, every other punch was clinching.
Yeah, it was.
Probably.
No, it was. And he got points deducted for it eventually. And then he finally took it to Povetkin late, but
nice
it was a good right hand
shot.
Good right hand to the body from Joshua. catching Klitschko on the exit.
Yeah, that's the danger of the shoulder roll, is you do really expose your kidneys, and kidney punching is illegal technically, but if you can get on the other side of the ref and you can swing it to the body.
It's also not intentional, so good right hand counter by Joshua that time.
And he got that one over the top pretty nicely.
And he's got a little bit of his confidence back there. Klitschko shoulder rolled the right hand well.
So
And
Joshua
back up
goes
on
back
his
to the
toes.
body with the left.
So funny. Klitschko keeps dropping that left. I mean, he eventually brings it up where he's anywhere close to being hit, or when he wants to use it. But every time I watch him do it, it both makes me laugh and frustrates me at the same time. It's like, come on, keep your hands up for fuck's sake.
There's a viable strategy that goes along with having your hand in that position.
It's like we talked about with his brother, where his brother would lull people into these false senses of security by keeping his hands at waist level. But Vitali was so deceptively quick and put combinations together so well that he could do it and get away with it.
Right.
And
A bit of a left there from
And I
Joshua.
get that. I get the taunting aspect to it. It just, as a fan, it's like, all right, knock it off.
and that was a good round for
and look,
Joshua.
man, Tommy Hearns made a career out of having his lead hand that low.
I mean, you can go back to the days of Gene Tunney, and Gene Tunney
True.
carried his hands routinely waist level, but he was such a good boxer and so deft at, making other guys miss that he was able to do it and maintain it. It was a good style for him. Not everybody can do it, and of course, when you're talking guys who weigh in excess of 250 pounds of solid muscle, it's a little bit riskier than normal. There was a good right hand from Vladimir.
Yeah, we get the replay of that right.
to
Yeah, I mean,
open
the
up.
only guy who really made Tunney kind of pay for that style, I mean, apart from the Harry Greb loss, would have been a bit of the Dempsey rematch.
Sure, and he did catch him along the ropes, got the hands up, dropped him, but of course, even long count aside, Tunney would have gotten up. He just maximized the use of that count as much as he could,
Yeah.
and did
I-
drop the following round.
Yeah, that was a quick count. Sorry, I might be thinking of a different round from that fight. Ooh,
Here we are,
Joshua
round 5,
left.
Roadhouse.
Oh,
Roadhouse
he's coming
moves,
after it.
opening us up.
There we go.
Oh, Joshua's mad.
Top.
Oh, look at the
We are
the
in
swarming.
round 5, and apparently a switch just went off in Joshua's head.
Joshua met Klitschko directly in the
Oh,
center.
that left.
Take it.
Oh, good.
Left hook.
Oh,
Oh!
and down goes Klitschko. Looking.
Wow.
How can you stop that? He was on a single, bro.
That was
Bad MMA joke, but that was a
Oh.
hell of a flurry from Joshua.
strategically started off with both men trying to take the center of the ring. Joshua let his hands go first, scored clean, did not let up on what he saw as an opening, kept that same distance, maximized it, dropped Klitschko. Perfect strategy from Joshua. And there's a big left hook.
And he needs to keep his foot on the gas. He also needs to cut Klitschko off, because Klitschko's really, really good at circling and
Yeah,
using
Joshua's
ring
ring craft when he's flurrying is not terribly impressive.
No,
He flurries well with the hands, but his footwork in these circumstances is not great.
But as I said before, Klitschko is so good at making you miss him.
Ooh, well-timed left by Klitschko there.
And again, you're talking Klitschko's had more knockouts than Joshua's had rounds. Let's take that into consideration. Right. Joshua clearly a bit hurt by that hook. Good right hand again by Klitschko over the top.
Klitschko's gotten him to... Oh, that was dirty.
Slid
Klitschko
into a headlock, turned it into a left hook.
Klitschko not above a little bit of dirty boxing, especially when he's, getting touched.
That cut on Klitschko, is that under the eye?
It is under the eye, and it looks like Vladimir worked a little bit with Jens Pulver for this fight.
Love you, Jens. Oh,
Good
that
right
left.
hand.
Oh! Yeah,
Left hand.
Klitschko felt that one.
Now Klitschko's getting... Oh, the uppercut.
Uppercut.
He ducked right into it. Oh,
Yeah, he
Joshua's
did.
hurt now.
Joshua has taken a look over a queer street and decided if he wanted to walk down it.
And we got another clinch situation.
And
Yeah, Joshua's paying for that flurry at the start of the round right about now.
Yeah,
with his,
he's
with his
sucking.
gas tank.
He's sucking wind.
Look at Vladimir
Look at
trying to fight admirably in the clinch, something that's never been his strong suit.
Yeah.
Doing uppercut inside. I think he'd be better off working inside than tying up, but it's not something he's worked on extensively and feels comfortable with. Good right
look
hand.
at that. By the way, that uppercut on the inside was nice. That sliced and diced him right up the middle.
Another right uppercut. Yeah, Joshua's guard is a little bit wide with his elbows, and Klitschko's starting to key in on that and come up the middle with that uppercut.
Yeah,
and again, you're seeing Klitschko score with punches he's not overly adept with. Klitschko's a 1-2 type of fighter. Now he's landing uppercuts and left hooks. He's out of his wheelhouse, but he's doing well with it. And when he starts doing well with that stuff, you have to worry about that because now he can go back to what he does best.
Especially because Anthony Joshua's had nothing for those uppercuts.
Yeah.
He literally ducked right into one. And tall fighters usually make good use of the uppercut. Vladimir is an exception. His brother was exceptional with the lead hand uppercut. But Vladimir made good use of his rear hand. And this is after being dropped in the same round. I would actually score this a 10-9 round despite the knockdown because of how strong Vladimir came back.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that too much. Yeah, Joshua just put so much into that flurry in the beginning that come the end of that round, he just had nothing left in his legs or arms to really kind of fight back.
Took a breath there when he got up. I mean, it wasn't like a totally deep breath, or anything, but you can kind of tell, okay, he's like, oh, I need to make sure I hold on to my win this time.
Remember to breathe.
Breathe, breathe. You forgot to breathe again.
It's the darndest thing, but there's a reason corners constantly tell their fighters to breathe, because people forget to do it once they start fighting.
When I was training in kickboxing and I would get in there and spar, I wasn't trained at that point to breathe appropriately, and I was constantly gasping for air. Because I would
exhale when you punch.
I would throw a lot of power punches, but it was like I was basically holding my breath. All right, what do we got going on here?
Joshua's mouthpiece fell out.
Sorry, mouthpiece. And guys,
that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason you teach kids to ki. It just gets them used to exhaling, which then makes you inhale.
Right.
And as I said, if you heard that click, we're at Narragansett time.
Nice.
Because we're making a fun night of this with another great heavyweight fight. And again, that round 5 of this fight.
Oh, and down goes Joshua.
Oh,
and
that was a delayed reaction.
If Vladimir's hitting you with hooks and uppercuts, there's a very good chance he's going to find home for that iron fist, and he did. And Joshua's hurt. He's not all the way
he's still hurt.
That was one that shocked his nervous system because he kind of just went straight up for a second, then fell on his ass.
Yeah, he was not in a good spot there.
I've been hit with those shots that you have the delayed reaction to. You can't get right for about another 30 seconds after that. It's
terrible.
Yeah, your body is in complete non-control. No matter what you try to do, everything is on a delay for a good little while. So that's why they tell you, don't try to fight back. Grab, clinch, do what you have to do.
Tie up, hold on, recover. Yeah, I mean, that's when you see people do the chicken dance, that's what that is.
Vladimir with a good right hand inside.
Oh, nice chopping right.
Now, this is the one time where I would tell you the one missing aspect of Vlad's game is his body punching. He would be so... Look at Joshua's feet.
Joshua is... His legs are gone for the moment.
And I get that Vlad's a big guy leaning over him, but to see him stutter around the ring like that, if Vlad would put some body work in, there's a very good chance he could drop him again.
Yeah, and instead he's just doing a lot of headhunting, and it's
to me the one crucial difference between himself and his brother. His brother was not afraid to throw body punches, even if making a hit in return.
Vitaly would tear your ribs to pieces.
And again, he's missing wildly over the top, and he's not throwing in combination. He's looking for one big shot to hurt Joshua again. This was the problem. This was the problem with Tyson Fury. One shot at a time, no combinations, because he's discouraged when he misses.
And one at a time against Tyson Fury is just a recipe for disaster.
What
because
a beautiful right hand.
God, that was beautiful.
So Pat, we talked earlier about Deontay Wilder doing the palm strike. I've actually seen both Anthony Joshua and Klitschko do it in this fight. Not like Deontay Wilder, who it's like a constant part of his repertoire. But I've actually seen like a couple of times where maybe he was going for a hook or something, but he ended up hitting with like the palm of the glove.
Well, see, in those instances, a lot of times when you want to pull back on a punch because you don't see the opening there that it was, you'll end up kind of turning your fist outward and tapping with the palm or almost slapping like you talked about earlier. It's more a case of them looking for an opening that's not there anymore and trying to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you can't once you commit to that, and especially if you're throwing a power shot, very hard to stop it without actually throwing the full shot. You try to restrain it and just pull back a little bit on it. But I will tell you, it's actually worse to do that than it is just to land the shot on the gloves or the shoulder or what have you. It takes a lot more energy to stop that.
All right, on the commentator card, they've got Joshua up by 1 point over Klitschko, 57-56 here.
Well, they went with a 10-8 round. They went with a 10-8 round 5 for Joshua rather than the 9-8 that we all kind of seem to agree on. And Klitschko clearly had the 10-8 in the 6th.
Yeah. So for us, I mean, I think we all agreed on a 10-9 round in the knockdown round initially for Joshua when Klitschko roared back. But the Klitschko knockdown round was more a dominant round for Vladimir, so that would be a 10-8 round on our cards.
See, I think we'd have actually a Klitschko up a point or a draw.
I believe it's a draw on our cards right now. Because thus far, we've actually been unanimous on every round, shockingly. And we don't get paid for this, folks. Although I will tell you my night has been sponsored by Coors Banquet, because a hard day deserves an old-school hard beer. And Narragansett presents Dell's Shandy, the refreshingly different beer sold on merit.
You know, Klitschko keeps sneaking in these little, like, back fist or hammer fist strikes.
He's always done that. With his left hand, he's always done that. And it's not uncommon among especially heavyweights to do that. But because Vlad is such a heavy, ham-fisted guy, he knows what he's doing. He's irritating you every time he does it and hurting you a little bit when he does it. Not hurting you where he's going to knock you out, but you're feeling it and you're getting discouraged by feeling it.
Yeah, Joshua started talking to him this round.
Which is pretty bold considering the kid's in his 19th professional fight against the most dominant heavyweight active right now. It's a lot of balls on the part of Joshua.
We also don't know how good Klitschko's English is.
It's
good
enough.
enough.
He's banging Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah, Klitschko's both of them have pretty darn good English at this point. Yeah, Klitschko's jab is still kind of just the tail of this round, if nothing else.
And Joshua's done very well to just be defensively responsible and kind of cool off and get back into this and slow Klitschko's momentum.
Gets a little bit of a left hook there.
What was the feedback on this fight from people? Were they satisfied with the amount of action in the fight, or was this kind of another yawner for people?
No, this is
anyone who complains about this fight is a moron.
This was looked at as one of the best heavyweight fights in a long time, and I think you've seen why so far. You got no knockdowns. There is a high level of technique in certain respects. With action, it's a very satisfying fight on every level so far to me.
Yeah, no, I think if you're looking for some classic heavyweight boxing and, technique and whatnot, I think you would be hard-pressed to find another fight better than this
Hey,
one.
look, it's Deontay Wilder.
They put this idiot on commentary?
Look, the theory was he was going to fight the winner. But because Deontay Wilder will never fight anyone who's any good, that never actually came to fruition. But the thought was, he'll fight the winner of this fight in the big heavyweight unification bout. And then he sees what is about to happen over the next few rounds and decides, you know what, no thanks.
He's basically, I can't beat either of these guys. Well, I should stay away, clearly.
I mean, you couldn't even really beat Tyson Fury, and then he, again, had to, pay off with some judges for that decision.
And again, Mark and I did the commentary on that fight. We gave Wilder, 3 rounds?
Yeah.
You were generous.
It was much later in the fight when Tyson started to slow down.
And Vladimir opening up.
Coming forward, another clinch.
Vladimir is 12-1 with 7 KOs against unbeaten opposition. The only one would be his loss to Tyson Fury.
Bit of a left hook from Joshua there. Yeah, Joshua seems to have caught his second wind here finally.
It's a funny thing about getting knocked down and not getting finished immediately after. There's this sense of boldness in you that emerges, and you feel like this guy couldn't pull the trigger and finish me. I can come back and win this, especially when you've already dropped him.
Yeah, Joshua avoids a right hand there, starting to get his jab going again. Nice left hook there from Joshua into the clinch.
Immediately, Vlad's response is to tie up on the inside. Vlad does not want to fight on the inside, it appears, at this point.
No, I think Vlad knows his best chances of winning this fight is at distance, especially if he can get really long distance.
And he wants that right hand again.
He wants to be all the way out or all the way in. I mean, because any middle distance seems to be Joshua's. I mean, Joshua's punching power is fairly tremendous. I mean, look at the size of that man's shoulders. And remember, he's also 6'6", with like a 77-inch reach.
Now Vlad's backing him up again with that jab. Feinting, but Vlad's not up on his toes like he was. There's definitely some wear and tear there.
He's flatter for sure.
His left eye also is all messed up.
There's a lot of Vaseline hanging off of that more than
it is
accumulated damage.
Though.
Yeah, I'm surprised Joshua hasn't gone back to it more, quite frankly, because there's a giant target there. Ooh, nice right from Vlad.
For him to throw that right hand, he's going to have to put himself in line for Vlad's right hand, and I think at this distance he wants to avoid that. Maybe in close he'll look for it, but Vlad's right hand at distance is what got him in trouble in the first place, so he's going to be respectful of that punch.
He's going to look for middle distance engagements more than long range. Boy, Joshua's getting a little bit off balance with his jab, putting a lot more weight onto his front leg.
He's loading up. He wants to take advantage. He wants to score inside hard with that lead hand and set something up for later. He wants to get that initial shot off on Vlad to get his respect. But now Vlad pushing back with the jab now. Now he's a little more mobile. Now he's a little more up.
God, his jab is so good.
Look at Joshua push forward with his jab. Take the center away. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's the last minute statement in that round to go, I'm still here and I'm not going away.
We are moving into round 9, I believe.
And there we see Hayden Panettiere, who is they've married since, I believe, but at the time they were just engaged.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart of a gal too.
I've never met her. I couldn't comment.
Met her and Vlad together. Tremendous people.
I have not seen her in anything since she was in one of the Scream movies.
God, that is a gnarly cut.
Well,
I just got a good look at that cut on Klitschko, and that's in a bad spot.
It is, but he's got one of the premier cut men in his corner, and
that is Stitch.
They are doing a good job of not allowing Joshua to exploit it thus far. Yeah. So you put that adrenaline on it, let it kick in, let it do its work, and there's a chance that cut will not play into this. David Fields causing both men to break, and now we'll fight.
Klitschko coming out aggressively this round, and Joshua with some rib roasters there and close.
Two clubbing rights starting off this round from Klitschko.
Vlad does not look composed. Vlad looks a little bit desperate at this point.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if he feels his own cardio going or whatnot, but he's antsy.
I believe in the corner, Vitaly said he's not like a man, he's like a piece of iron.
Kolfrock has it 76-75 for Klitschko.
I think our scores would have Klitschko up another point.
Yeah, I could see 1 point for either guy as being fair, or draw being fair. This has been a pretty even keel fight with a lot of good stuff going on. Vlad misses over the top with that right hand.
Yeah, you can see Klitschko. I don't know, he's anxious in this round, and Joshua's starting to slip and counter to the body quite well.
Oh, good jab inside by Klitschko as Joshua getting in. Right hand over the top.
Yeah, nice stuff from Klitschko there and close.
Joshua tucks one into the body there while they're all clinched up.
But again, I think Vlad doing good work in the clinch, even though he's not comfortable with it. I think it's something he should look to more. He's falling short with his punches at distance. Work in the clinch because you've done well with it. good left.
Counter left from Joshua, yeah.
It just got picked off by the forearm, but it was good. It was a good punch. Caused Vlad to have to reset and back out.
And it got him moving. It got him out of the corner.
I can see why Deontay Wilder would not want to fight Klitschko. He'd get killed.
Oh, good right from Joshua and close. I mean, either of these guys would just run him over.
I mean, let's be honest. What we saw from Deontay Wilder tonight versus what we're seeing from both of these guys, this is a definitive gap in talent.
Sure. I mean, you've got Klitschko, who's a premier boxer, a very technical boxer, and Deontay Wilder, who's a tough man fighter. He'd get picked apart. Now, I mean, maybe he gets knocked out, maybe he doesn't, but he would definitely lose. I mean, unless he knocks Klitschko down, I don't think that he gets around.
I mean, Tyson Fury barely gave him a round.
Fourth round. I don't think he's live in that fight after the fourth round.
No, because Klitschko pushes him or Joshua, they push a much better pace than Fury does.
Body shots that Joshua threw on the inside there.
Joshua's body work, man, that's hurting me just watching. Like he's digging to those ribs.
Your ribs hurt, Winfree?
Actually, my lower back hurts. I did something to it today, so.
Yeah, beating that bull. And that's a definitive Joshua round for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Stitch going right to work on that cut again. But, to his credit, Vladimir did not let the cut get hit or pretty well touched in that round.
No, he's been very defensively mindful of that, of the cut in particular, and Joshua hasn't. I don't know if it's just Joshua not being able to or just not realizing that that option is there.
Talking about great heavyweights, there we see at ringside Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis.
Two of the greats.
Two of the bastions of the last great era of heavyweights.
Yeah, those two. I honestly think Tyson's line about Evander is probably the best. And even if you don't consider Evander Holyfield the best ever, if you look at a lot of people that people do consider the best ever, Evander makes a lot of them look silly when they fight.
I'm sure Gavin Napier would agree with that, since Gavin Napier worships at the Temple of Holyfield.
I don't worship at the Temple of Holyfield, but I think it's a very fair point about Evander and his abilities.
All right, we are in round 10 here. 2 more rounds to go after this.
Mark, who are you favoring right now?
Klitschko.
Is there anything you think that Klitschko could be doing that he's not to really seal this fight up?
Well, I agree with you. I think he needs to do a little. I think he needs to be working inside. I think he needs to.
Left the body.
See, when they clinch like that, he's just holding. What he needs to do is he needs to be punching at that time. He needs to be
good counter right there.
In.
Yeah, the rule is if you're in a clinch and you have one hand free, you are absolutely allowed to fight with that hand.
Right, so there was his right hand right there that he could have been using to put some hooks into the body or even to the head. Kind of touch him, stand back, let your hand go. But he's just holding him.
Yeah. It's the lack of clinch sophistication was always kind of a big knock on Klitschko.
And again, it's that system he came out of that discourages that type of fighting.
Well, the amateurs discourage clinching generally, and again, his style in particular.
And on top of that, who he trained with, Emmanuel Stewart, does not particularly favor his guys to be fighting in that area.
Man, those body shots from Joshua, man, he's swinging that right to the body. He's pretty clearly setting up the right to the head by showing that look.
I don't see any heavyweight who works to the body the way Anthony Joshua does.
Not who's any good.
Well, he's back on his toes again. At least he was.
And Klitschko going for the guillotine.
Now you see Klitschko throwing at least something underneath. That's what he needed to be doing, like Mark pointed out.
Commentary, I think it was somebody on commentary just said, yeah, you want to do that when the ref can't see that. I think it was Wilder. Yeah, Vlad's got his bounce back in his step, but...
okay, good restraint.
He thought about it, but yeah.
He thought about a rabbit punch there, and he could have landed a good one.
But the ref was right there and would have called him on it.
Yeah, the rabbit punches are hard when you're a heavyweight. The kidney shots, the hip shots, not so much. The rabbit punches, yeah, they're going to see that.
Couple of rights there to the body and close from Joshua. Yeah, he's breaking down the posture of Klitschko with those body shots, and it's still pretty good, but that was ugly.
You see Vlad a lot more hunched over than he usually is, leaning in.
Yeah, he's worried about his ribs. Good right from Klitschko there at the end. I'd still kind of give that round to Joshua, actually.
I think it's a difficult round to score, and again, for me, it comes down to the aspect of who would I have rather been in that round.
I'd rather Klitschko.
And I'd rather been Joshua.
But yeah, that's a close round.
And that I don't agree with everything or anything Max Kellerman says, but that's the one thing I think he's always gotten right on commentary is that if you get into a round where you have a very hard time...
that was a forearm from Klitschko, the way Joshua leaned into it. That was gnarly.
And he caught glove and forearm there. That was
that is an unhappy punch to eat.
Oh. But I think the one thing Kellerman has consistently been right about is when you do get into that close round where you have a hard time scoring it, pick who you'd have rather been in that round.
That right from Joshua.
Joshua with the right hand over the top, and Vlad is
left.
Hurt. Vlad is hurt. Left hand. Vlad's legs are not there.
Not there at all. And Joshua stalking him a little bit. Again to the body. Good body work when the guy's hurt. Solid fundamental.
That's the difference between when Klitschko had Joshua hurt and now. Joshua's willing to go to his body. He's stalking, going down, going up.
There's some pretty nice defensive movement there from Klitschko, considering he's still a little wobbled to have his legs still under him like that.
He's shuffling with the punches. He's moving his head, moving his upper body, moving his chest. And Joshua now kind of cooling off, letting him off the hook a little bit, or so we think. Yeah. Vlad is not all the way back yet. He's not attacking, which should let you know that he's not really back in the saddle. That was a
left hook and close.
Oh, my God. Look at that.
That was a wicked left and close.
That was. I'm impressed with Klitschko's ability to,
Klitschko's chin is pretty underappreciated.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's taking some hard shots.
Oh, that uppercut.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That was another one. That one's going to...
Klitschko's on Queer Street. Down he goes.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's going to need to see his chiropractor on that one. His fucking head got knocked loose.
Vladimir is in a lot of trouble.
He is on... he's rounding the block on Queer Street. He is not in a good spot.
Legs are crossing as he walks forward to David Fields. I might have stopped that fight right
I'm with you, man. I might have stopped the way he was moving.
I don't like
Joshua
the way,
with a right.
I don't like the way his head moved when he got hit by that. I mean, that looked like it wobbled.
Defense. Boom, boom, boom. Down he goes again.
Yeah, you stop. Wow. And they're gonna let this go?
Hang on. I can't remember if this is the final. Well, Klitschko says he's okay.
Wow. I've seen fights when you get knocked down twice like that in a fight, and you look that out of it, they stop the fight.
Well, he's still engaging with the ref.
He kind of walks sideways to David Fields.
Yeah. And Joshua is not going to let him off the hook this time.
No, you got to...
Better job of cutting
there's
off the
in the corner,
you gotta press.
Body head, 1, 2, 3, that's it.
There you go. Okay, now we're stopping it. Wow, with 1 round to spare. Good for you, Anthony Joshua.
And yeah, you wonder why Deontay Wilder's ducking this guy?
No. I'm not wondering at all. Why do you ask? All right, so what was that, a TKO? Okay.
Yeah.
That was a TKO in round 11.
All right.
TKO. He was down on the official scorecards, I think.
Yeah, I would probably say so. All right, well, that was fun. We definitely made a night of it. I think it's time to call it a night. This week, a slight schedule change due to some personal issues going on with Jesse, the host of Source Material. We will be doing a live Source Material hosted by me. And we'll be talking World War Hulk with Chris Bailey. So that'll be fun. It's good.
It's really not. It's a pretty terrible arc. Like, I'm not saying that to be ironic or just to tweak your nipples.
I have a feeling, Mark, that you will enjoy the fight between the Hulk and the Sentry.
I've read it. It's one of the ones I've already read. It's one of the why it ended up on here. I loved World War Hulk. I love that. I love that whole run, starting with Planet Hulk, going all the way through World War Hulk. Anyway,
I mean, I like the Sentry just kind of as a. I say that to annoy people because everyone hates him. Because in so many ways he's terrible, almost as bad as the Hulk as a character.
Speaking of declaring a world war on somebody, John Wick 3, Parabellum, Damn You Hollywood this week. Jesse will be back Wednesday for Metal Hammer of Doom. We'll be reviewing the new Elavidi, which, check it out, because there's a song on there that is hot fucking fire, man. It is awesome. So check out the new Elavidi. And then I'm finally caught up on both John Wick movies. We'll talk about it on Long Road to Ruin this Thursday, myself and Sean Comer. And then...
Look, everything you need to know about Mark's personal taste in movies, he likes Transformers and didn't like John Wick.
What?
Not that I didn't like it. It was whatever.
You heard, look, you heard me.
Mark, seriously?
Yeah, seriously. I don't want to have this conversation now.
Look, you and I are going to get into it when it comes on Tuesday, and I'm fine with delaying. I'm fine with delaying the actual discussion until that point. I just have to put it out there.
Say, Robert, you speak for all of us.
Yeah, no.
One of the few times I will be in the majority position.
Yeah,
when it
you
comes
really
to
will.
Talking about movies.
There were people on my Facebook feed going, "Wait a minute, you don't love John Wick?" And I'm like, "Nah, it's not my thing." And the people were like, "But why?"
Well, Mark, you had a dog, didn't you?
Nobody killed my dog, Pat.
That's not the point.
We'll talk about it Tuesday. Speaking of, but if you've enjoyed this show and you enjoy the work here from the three of us, we'll all be back together again for a TV party tonight on Friday to discuss the Zac Efron and Jim Parsons Ted Bundy movie. Jim Parsons of that wonderful show that has just ended, The Big Bang Theory, which had the perfect finale. Don't bother with Game of Thrones. Watch The Big Bang Theory. You'll ultimately be more satisfied.
Okay, I'm just going to put this out there. No, I'm just going to put this out there. Mark, you've watched The Big Bang Theory. I have not. One of us has cancer. I'm not saying it's you all can decide.
That's not how causation works, but that's fine.
I also watched Big Bang Theory for a number of years, but I gave up when it was stale and awful and repetitive, and I also do not have cancer, but I do have alcoholism.
There you go.
Yeah, so you can be Mark or Pat, or you can just have never actually watched the stupid, obnoxious, reprehensibly unfunny cash grab that was The Big Bang Theory, and you can be me.
Yeah.
Picture of health. Apart from I pulled back.
So May 25th is AEW Double or Nothing. We will review it the next day, Sunday, May 26th. And then Jesse will be hosting the Source Material podcast on the Memorial Day. He'll be ending Marvel Event May with the show, with the crossover Blood Ties. I won't be on that show, but Jesse did a great job with it. You can hear that show once it airs on Memorial Day. And then we close out Damn You Hollywood for May with Aladdin. The new Sworn Enemy will be reviewed on May 29th. And speaking of Game of Thrones, myself and... Now see, I changed it, so this won't set off my Amazon Echo anymore. Alexis Hana will be coming on to a TV party tonight to discuss Game of Thrones. And you better believe we'll probably be discussing the stupid petition. And then June 1st, the day before my birthday, the aforementioned Anthony Joshua versus Andrew Ruiz Jr. Myself and Pat will be providing commentary, and I think so will you. I think we agreed that you'd be done with your fight from Sweden. Ikea's from Sweden. I like meatballs.
My bum is on the Swedish.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, that's Gustafsson versus Smith. So you should be done and able to watch that show by then.
In a couple of weeks. Again, I don't know what the start time is for that. They haven't announced it yet.
It's 1 o'clock, it says.
I was going to say, probably 1 o'clock p.m. It'll end by like 3 or 4 o'clock p.m.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, if it's 1 p.m. Eastern, that's 11 here. So
it
yeah,
is. I'm looking
By the
at
way,
it.
Okay, fine.
IKEA frozen yogurt and pretzels, fantastic.
Outstanding. All right.
How the world was... never mind. Just the UFC. I just looked at the UFC's performance of the night. Their bonuses for the event tonight, and the fight of the night was Aspen Ladd versus Sijara Eubanks, and wasn't a bad fight, but I don't know. It just kind of speaks to the lower quality of this card, and the fact that
did Dominic Breazeale get a performance bonus?
No, it was Aspen. Look, they can't actually disclose the bonus they gave to Dominic Breazeale without opening themselves up to litigation. So,
by the way,
no.
is that Nate Diaz that's in John Wick 1?
I'd have to rewatch it.
I believe it's Nick.
No, it's not. Definitely not Nick.
No, it's not Nick. Hang on.
Now I'm looking. You do plugs. I'll look it up. Do your plugs. Plugs.
All right. Jeez.
Plugs.
No, it's not Nate Diaz.
I'm convinced that guy looked just like Nate Diaz.
It is not him. I just looked.
No, but Tate Fletcher and I think
Keith Jardine.
Keith Jardine are both in it.
Yes.
Jardine's one of the guys with a beard. Keanu grabs him by the beard and then slams his face into the table and then shoots him in the body several times.
Kevin
Yes,
Nash
he
is
is.
in it. That was a pretty fun thing.
And they also have a coffee business together.
Yeah, when are they getting married?
As soon as Colorado legalizes that, I assume.
I actually don't know if about either of their sexual orientations. For the record.
PLUG. Plugs.
All right, I just wrapped up before starting this nonsense my coverage of UFC on ESPN plus 10. This is kind of what this is what happens when you book a lot of mismatches on a card. There were a lot of finishes. A lot of them were decent, but largely unremarkable. There were a couple of really good ones. Michel Pereira, who is very famous for doing an honest-to-God lie insult in the middle of an actual fight. You think I'm joking. This is not a joke. He knocks the guy down and decides the best thing to do is to jump onto, like, halfway up the cage, put his hands on the top, and then backflip onto his opponent. Thing he did.
How is that not the best thing to do?
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that's not a joke. Like he had a pretty memorable debut, knockout with a flying knee and a punch. Vicente Luque had a pretty decent fight. Rafael dos Anjos won. Again, there was some decent stuff, but at the end of the day, it's probably going to wind up as, you know what, that was pretty good, but I'm not going to remember almost anything from it. So. Then that's it. We're going to review that and then talk about all the major news of the week. And I will continue to complain that Tony Ferguson versus Donald Cerrone is not a 5-round fight, because what is wrong with you? Give those two maniacs 5 rounds. I mean, I don't think Tony Ferguson will need all 3 rounds to get the win, but just the principle. We'll talk about all the news of the week, and that's it. Again, the week after that, we will have a preview for Gustafsson versus Smith, which is... I hate this card. I hate this card so much. There are 4 light heavyweight fights on this card, and 3 of them are the top 3 fights.
I didn't know there were 8 light heavyweights in the UFC.
Yeah, there are. There's more than 8.
Go ahead and get yourself a tall glass of turnip juice.
Ugh, because it was haunted.
Send that haunted lemon tree back to Springfield.
Darn right. In all seriousness, the main event is okay. It's Alexander Gustafsson and Anthony Smith. That has some potential, but okay. And I'm loosely interested in Alexander Rakic and Jimmy Manuwa just because I'm kind of high on Rakic, but I mean, Uzdemir and Latifi does nothing for me. Darko Stosic and Devin Clark does nothing for me, and frankly, I expect at least one of those other 2 heavyweight fights that I'm loosely interested in to kind of suck. Good God, Tanya Evanger's fighting.
How's your podcast?
Why?
How's your podcast doing since you've moved it from my network to 411?
I don't know. I don't look at numbers. No, seriously, I don't really look at numbers. I don't care. I mean, I looked at that other one just kind of on the spur of the moment thing and just, oh, hey, look at that number. I don't know, about the same, I think. On the old network on the new network as the old, so
Okay.
Well,
Anyway, we'll have a. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Robert. Go ahead.
So anyway, that's what we'll be doing. I will be Tuesday hosting Damn You Hollywood, where I will laugh at Mark for being the plebeian unsophisticate that he is for disliking John Wick. I will also lament the fact that Halle Berry does not get shot in the face by Keanu Reeves, and I don't mean that sexually. I mean I wanted him to kill her.
I mean it in both ways.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm seeing it tomorrow.
I haven't seen it yet either. One of my brothers did, and the only thing I asked was, does Halle Berry double cross him and he gets to shoot her in the face? And he said no, and I went, damn.
Spoilers.
Oh no. Whatever will we do?
Yeah, come on. Like, anybody listening to this hasn't already, looked at the plot, on Wikipedia.
I haven't done that. I just, again,
It's a John Wick movie. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have a plot.
I'm pretty sure this is our generation's version of Death Wish, and I'm fine with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
I'll go along with that, yeah, and I'm completely okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I love the action sequences in those movies. It's one of the most pure adaptations of martial arts and implementing legitimate deadly weaponry that you will ever see.
Which I get, that's the attraction, and if that's the kind of thing you like, that's great. It's not my thing. As I said, when I see somebody killing this many people in a movie, I usually like it to be a monster, not a guy.
He is a monster. Did you know
Yeah,
that?
he is a monster.
Yeah, he's
Look
the
at Ted
boogeyman.
Bundy.
Baba Yaga. What was it? Baba Yaga? Baba Yagu?
Baba Yaga.
Yeah, but no.
Baba O'Reilly.
You're not I'm not a fan of well choreographed action, but I'm going to scream at Robert for 30 minutes. We suggest cutting Stanley Tucci not being able to get rid of a bomb.
Yeah, look at how many bodies Ted Bundy was able to get rid of. Just saying.
All right, we'll deal with this on Tuesday.
Right. So moving forward, as you've heard, the three of us will get together again this coming Friday to review the Netflix original film on the aforementioned Ted Bundy. Shockingly evil, violent, extremely wicked. I think that the title is a lot of words, too many for my liking.
Look, they should have just kept that title, then subtitled it "The True Story of Zac Efron."
Yeah, that's about right. So you'll hear the three of us do that, as well as Saturday, June 1st. You will hear Mark and myself. Hopefully Robert joining us as well after the card from Sweden ends. We're talking Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr. Originally supposed to be Jarrell Miller, unfortunately got hurt and pulled out. So we will get to watch Anthony Joshua defend his belts anyway. Also,
Joshua.
yeah, good for Anthony Joshua not just canceling the fight. Since there's going to be some shuffling happening around on the Radulich Broadcasting Network, I'm going to make myself available as needed for whatever shows may come, be it Metal Hammer of Doom, be it Long Road to, what have you. I will try to keep the network up, keep the ratings up, because that's what I do. I will be happy to do it. So if you do want to keep up with what we're doing, you can follow us on Facebook. I will gladly post schedules of what is going on and what will be expected to come in the near future. But as of right now, those are two guaranteed gigs where I will be talking Ted Bundy and I will be talking Anthony Joshua. It will be interesting to see who ends up with the higher body count.
All right, folks. Thank you again for joining us on this TV Party Tonight extra boxing commentary, and we hope to offend you at some point in the future. Have a good night.